All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Micieli, and joining me today on our News 9 feed is Stone Cold Steve Austin himself. Oh, no, he's just wearing the shirt and the belt purposely because we're angry. So we're not too happy. So I had Kyle Sullivan, you know him, you love him, Shaggy Von Doom, is joining me because we have some things to discuss and get off our chest. And we will do that pretty much for the duration of this episode. But first things first, follow the show on social media outlets. On Twitter, LOPN_Avalanche. On Instagram, Locked On Avalanche. And send questions, comments, concerns, and definitely your opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. So, yeah, Kyle, started the day where we got the word that the Nazem Kadri suspension is being upheld. And I figured that would be the lead for this episode. But no, that we will get to that a little bit later, and I'm sure somewhere all in between. But we got word that Ryan Reaves is suspended for his shenanigans with Ryan Graves for a grand total of, what does the scoreboard say? Like my jerseys, by the way. 2 games. 2 games on what he did, which was cowardly. It was disgusting. It was disgraceful. And the NHL seemed to say it's worthy of a 2-game suspension. Yes, we will get into, bringing up the Nazem Kadri suspension and comparing it to that. And who knows where else we'll talk and discuss, because I mean, we have a flight of ideas and our minds are going all over the place. And how is this possible? And what is the NHL doing? What is wrong with George Peros? Like, so much to get to. But my reaction when I first got notifications on my phone was, you have got to be kidding me. Like, I didn't think it was a joke. You're not saying it wasn't one of those things where like, oh, this must be a joke. Oh no, I know it was very real. And it's not, I hate to say it, it's kind of not surprising. This is the way the NHL is going. It's a roll of the dice on it's whatever they feel like doing for the day on what your suspension, if any, is going to be. I'll throw it over to you and let you kind of rant and rave, and we'll just keep talking about this because I can't figure out how the NHL does what they do when it comes to suspensions. What was your thought?
This goes back to, the game that we had, Vegas game 1. I was extremely nervous about that game. Usually I'm like tweeting along with the game and whatever. That game, I was extremely nervous. And once it got kind of out of hand, Vegas resorted to Vegas style, the grunt, the goon, and they didn't just cross-check Grubauer in the head. The ripping of hair out of Ryan Graves and literally just kneeing his face into the ice. The one tweet I did tweet in the game, Minnesota Wild is off the hook. Vegas is now my crosshairs. There's no need for this, and that you're being absolutely walked out of the building and you can't go out with just a shred of class. So it's ironic that on the day they say, well, Nas, what you did against St. Louis, you keep that super ridiculous 8 games. Tom Wilson, you're still fine. We're going to give Ryan Reaves the exact same number we gave to Gothis Bear and Jacob McDonald. History, it's a relative term. Tom Wilson, sure, whatever. Nas, 8 games. It's absolutely laughable. And we've talked about it all year. It's the narrative that has overlapped every game that has gone on in the playoffs so far is the inability of the Department of Player Safety to actually make a statement and make the correct judgment on anything. And we could point fingers at Peros because he's dealing these down and Bettman's holding it up.
Right. And we'll get to him a little bit later specifically, but you mentioned the pulling out the hair. That alone is 2 games because Ryan Graves has some luscious locks, and you're pulling on some Elvis style hair right there, my man. So that's warrant of suspension just based on the do. But if you go watch the video, if you watch not the video of what Reaves was doing to him, the Department of Player Safety video, the videos that they always release upon a suspension or lack thereof or a fine, and they walk you through everything that happened. Go watch it. You've seen it. But if you haven't watched it, go watch it and watch the voiceover explain everything that's happened, basically frame by frame. And you're like, okay, like, yes, he threw a fist to Grubauer's head. He's throwing fists to the back of Graves' head. He throws Graves down. He puts his weight on Graves' head. He rips his helmet off. You're agreeing with everything that they're saying in this video. And then they wrap it up by saying 2-game suspension. And you're like, my head wanted to explode. It literally, I'm like, how do you explain all of that stuff in detail? All of that is like, oh my God. If you didn't really watch hockey and you watch that, you'd be like, oh my God, they're going to suspend this guy for a year. You literally would say that.
In the explanation video, they threw in it was a quick throwaway line, but they said this hit is in retaliation for the hit on Matthias Janmark in the first period.
Right.
And I was like,
so what? Like, but they're using that as, are they trying to kind of justify his act? No. First of all, that's not how it works. You can't justify what happened in the first. They went after him.
Yeah.
They were going after him all game long. And guess what? Ryan Graves got his punishment for that hit. It was a penalty because that's all that hit was a penalty.
Yep.
You can argue if it should have been a double minor, but if that's what we're arguing, if it's a minor and double minor, we're arguing about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And now we're arguing about 2 games, which is crazy. Like, and again, we can sit here and argue the Graves hit. It wasn't, I don't want to start anything up with that. Like it was it a nasty hit? I've seen worse. It's as much on Graves as it is Janmark to watch where he's going, watch who's in front of him. He had no clue Graves was there. Could Graves have pulled up a little bit? Yeah, probably. But they're not going. Why are they not going after the Graves for that hit? Because that's not a suspendable hit.
Yeah,
it's a penalized hit, which is exactly what happened. And that happened in the first period. And they were going after Graves all game long. And then with 10 minutes left in the game or 11 minutes left in the game, Ryan Reaves does this nonsense. And they want to say it's in retaliation for what happened in the first period. That's garbage.
And it's one thing to say it's retaliation for something that happened in the first period, but the officials went in there to try and break them up. And Reaves went back for seconds and thirds.
Oh, yeah.
With the officials pulling them off. He's disregarding the officials. And initially in the game, they used the terminology with intent to injure. We wake up today, and the NHL and the revisionist history is taking that all away. It's a dinner. There is no intent to injure in the game log.
They're trying to rewrite history. Like, that blew me away. And that's a huge difference because that's the difference of directly going to the commissioner or not.
Yeah.
And it didn't. And where did it go? It went to George Peros, who we are finding out might be buddy with Ryan Reaves for a particular reason. Which we'll get to in a second. So we're going to hear from our sponsors for the day. First up is Wealthfront. Investing can be complicated, but whether you're a beginner or you've been investing for years, Wealthfront makes it easy. They have the right tools for every portfolio, and Wealthfront can create and can create that portfolio of globally diversified, low-cost index funds personalized just for you in minutes. No manual trades, no picking stocks, no watching the stock market every day. They automatically handle all the investing based on preferences that you control. Wealthfront can even help you lower the taxes you pay as you invest. For the average client, their tax loss harvesting can more than cover the low annual 0.25% advisory fee. Best of all, it's automatic. Wealthfront is trusted by over $20 billion of assets, and you can get your first $5,000 managed for free by going to wealthfront.com/lockedonnhl. All you need is $500 to get started. Grow your wealth the easy way, and let Wealthfront do the work for you. To get your first $5,000 managed for free, go to wealthfront.com/lockedonnhl. That's wealthfront.com/lockedonnhl to start growing your savings. That's wealthfront.com/lockedonnhl and get started today. Also brought to you by rockauto.com. It's the family business serving auto parts customers online for 20 years. Go to rockauto.com to shop for auto and body parts from hundreds of manufacturers. They have everything from engine control modules to brake parts to tail lamps to motor oil, even new carpet. Whether it's for your classic or daily driver, get everything you need in a few easy clicks delivered directly to your door. The rockauto.com catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. Quickly see all the parts available for your vehicle. Choose the brands, specifications, and prices that you prefer. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us section so they know that we sent you to them. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. That is rockauto.com. All right, so it's funny because I was thinking like what the Avalanche should do is just take that New York Rangers letter and just change the logo to the Avalanche logo and change wherever it says New York to Colorado and just resend it. Hit resend, because if everything in that letter is so ringing true again to me today.
Yeah.
I don't think this man is possible I don't think he possibly can do his job any worse. And I sent you a tweet, and I don't remember who put it up, and I apologize for not giving them credit, but you maybe have seen it. Apparently, George Peros is part owner of the Violent Gentleman brand, which is pretty popular, and it's, they sell paraphernalia and t-shirts and whatever. Apparently, he is part owner of that, which I know of the brand, but I don't own anything by them, and I didn't really dig deep into who owns them, but he does. And a person in hockey who pushes them pretty heavily is Ryan Reaves.
Funny how that works.
I like a good conspiracy theory every once in a while. Why not throw it out there? Because what else explanation is there? There is no other explanation as to how you just give this man 2 games. Like you said, he's got a history, and he has a recent history. And, if you're going off of that, why did Nazem Kadri get 8 games? Because Nazem Kadri hasn't done anything in 18 months. And again, we're not sitting here, Nazem Kadri should get off scot-free. I think every single Avalanche fan that you talk to agrees Kadri should have got suspension. But you based your 8 games of Kadri off of his past, not his 18 months prior. So you did 8 games on that, but you're doing 2 games for someone who's had recent run-ins. Could it be because they're pals and they have a business agreement somehow?
And for anybody who remembers Peros, he was not a clean hockey player. He was a goon, much like Ryan Reaves. Could there be conspiracy? Could this be his way of keeping hockey violent again? To quote their apparel, make hockey. They literally sell hats that are make hockey violent again. Like, that's their MO. And then you are the Department of Player Safety. Like, the two don't mix, and it's not out of the realm of possibility to connect the two, like how Peros runs things and how he wants things. He's not what you would want heading up your safety division, is what I'm trying to get at.
That's exactly right. Like this is a guy who's okay with the violent aspect of the game. And I get that there's people that are out there that are like that. They like the physicality of the game. I like the physicality of the game when it's done the right way.
Yeah.
Not like what stuff that Tom Wilson's doing, not like the stuff that Reaves is doing. That stuff is no, that's not it. And when you have a guy who has 1,092 penalty minutes in 474 games played, and I did the math, that's 2.3 penalty minutes a game. So he's taking a penalty every single game of his career, over a penalty every single game of his career. And you have in 2004, 2005 with the Manchester Monarchs, 247 penalty minutes. And then I'll just go through them in the pros: 138, 102, 183, 135, 136, 171. And this is the guy you have in charge to make sure players are safe. That doesn't add up. It's you throw your hands up, and it's almost like a reality television show. Like,
you don't have Nathan McKinnon be a goalie coach. Just because you're in the game doesn't mean you should be able. You're good at the game doesn't mean you should control every aspect. Just because you know how to create penalties doesn't mean you should hand out penalties for suspensions. It's almost like a hardened criminal becoming president. You don't, just because you know doesn't mean you should be in charge. Peros, I mean, he's always been a thug, and that's just what he does. And if this is his way of taking care of his friends, like you mentioned, Revo, he's got a more recent history than Kadri. I'm interested to see if he would even get a suspension if his last suspension was the same time as Kadri. If it wasn't September of 2020 when his last suspension was. Would he even get anything if it wasn't so recent? Like, it just doesn't make sense. You're saying history is playing a part in 2 games, but McDonald and Gothisbehere got the same amount with no history. So you're saying if Ryan Reaves had no history at all, this would be a non-issue? Ripping hair out and like pushing his face into the ice with your knee is okay? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
And why is it such a big, like, why did he get the Kadri one? Why is that so far in the other direction? You know what I mean? Like that one, you're looking at that one, that's a pretty hefty suspension based on everything else, based on all of the other ones that you're handing out. That's a hefty suspension. Why is that one, with even including his background, so far away from all of the other decisions that you're making? You know, if they get, I've said it many times on the show, like I was expecting Kadri to have 5 or 6. Like I was expecting that. And I think that would have been warranted. But 2 for someone that just had a run-in not that long ago, and should have been looked at for his hit against who was it on Minnesota? Suter.
Oh yeah.
Almost checked him right into the goalpost. So like this is how he plays. And again, there's a place for it in sports, but when you do things like that, it's not. So I don't get the wide like chasm of 2 games for someone who's done it repeatedly recently, and 8 games for a guy since he came to Colorado, he's been on pretty good behavior. I don't get it. I don't get it.
And we're talking about 2 of the 3 big 3 in the NHL. Tom Wilson, Ryan Reaves, Evander Kane would be the third of your quote-unquote tough guy, your goon that's still in the league right now. Kadri's always been on that outside. Like everybody knows he plays dirty, but he doesn't resort to the goonery that Wilson and Reaves and Kane resort to.
Exactly.
And why does Kadri get exponentially more games when 2 of the 3 get significant less on their suspension.
Mhm.
Like, it makes no sense. Like, any pitcher after the Houston Astros went through their cheating scandal, any pitcher that threw at a Houston Astro was ejected because you knew it was coming. Why is Tom Wilson and Ryan Reaves not being handled the same way? You know this is what they do. And if it's coming across your desk, oh, this is a Tom Wilson thing, why is it not handled with that same level of importance? And Kadri held to a different level. I just don't understand the logic.
Doesn't make sense. That. And it's almost like if you're not a goon or a superstar, you're going to get suspended, because you could even look at the Connor McDavid hit, the elbow he threw.
Yeah.
I think it was, who was that? I can't pronounce his last name all the time. Kotkaniemi.
Kotkaniemi.
Kotkaniemi. Yeah. I love the guy's last name because I can never pronounce it. That was vicious. Yeah. That was vicious. And he got nothing for, well, he got a $5,000, which, is changing his couch cushions to him. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're not a goon and not a superstar, Kadri fits into that description of those. Those are two things he's not. He's not a goon. He plays very hard, and he'll go after you. So I think those are the guys that they want to come down on, and it's unfortunate for friend. Go ahead.
I'm curious, if rewind a year, if this was Nikita Zadorov laying this exact same hit that Nazem Kadri did, what would be the outcome?
Because Kadri kind of in that realm of guys that play a very physical game and can do some dumb things on occasion, but he's known for that. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Big Z, that was his thing. He would do the extra check or finish it up or get physical. If he laid that same hit because going into that hit, suspensions in the Department of Player Safety was a buzz topic, and Kadri was also swept up into that. I wonder if Zadorov would have also got 8 games, or what he would have been.
Right. Good point. Maybe all of it boils down because you just, when we were looking up Parros's career stats, we unearthed that he played 2 games for the Colorado Avalanche in 2006, 2007. And why did he went to Anaheim after that, which is where he spent the majority of his career. Did they trade him to Anaheim? Was he released from Colorado? What was the reason why
I think he was part of a trade. I think Los Angeles let him go on waivers. Colorado picked him up, and we ended up trading him.
Yeah. So he played 2 games for Colorado. Let's keep the conspiracy theories going. Maybe he's bitter that he only played 2 games for the Avalanche before they dumped him.
Yeah, and then spent the rest of his life in Anaheim. Hey.
Yeah, prove me wrong.
protecting his friends and getting rid of his enemies. It's not
absolutely
not outside the realm of possibility.
All right. Well, where do we go from here? We're going to talk about that after we hear from Bet Online. It's the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your sports action. You got baseball season in full swing. Our hockey is in the playoffs, so is the NBA. You can even bet on UFC and MMA. Get all the latest news, odds, and info for all your sporting needs. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore, as this is your chance to get into the games as teams prep and make their runs in the playoffs. Head over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today. And when you do, you'll receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit with the promo code LOCKEDON. BetOnline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. So I guess if there's any positive to be had about a 2-game suspension, and I use that term tongue-in-cheek and very loosely, it's the fact that the Avalanche will see Ryan Reaves again, and they can, do what they want to do when he comes back. You don't want them to do anything stupid and get, a suspension, because the Avalanche seem to be getting 8-game suspensions, for the littlest thing. Well, not the littlest thing. I don't want to say that. It was a big thing. But they will get to see him again. And this is the problem that the NHL is creating. You didn't do anything with Tom Wilson, and the Rangers were like, fine, we'll take it into our own hands. You did little for Ryan Reaves. He will be able to return this series. And because it's the playoffs, you don't, the Avalanche aren't going to do what the Rangers did. And, everybody's fighting everybody in the first 3 minutes of the game. But I'm going to be interested in, he'll be back for game 4, right? Yeah. That'll be an interesting game because the Avalanche, I can guarantee if you heard what they were saying after the game is over, Gabe Landeskog wasn't happy. Bednar was not happy. So is there going to be a little bit of throwdown and some playoff hockey? I think you see it. I think you might, and hopefully that's the end of it. But this is what the NHL is doing. They're making players take the things into their own hands, and maybe that's what Paris wants. Maybe he's like, police yourselves, because I'm not going to do it.
This would be one of those situations. Game 4, Ryan Reaves comes back. Avalanche up 3-0 in the series. The opportunity to sweep their way into the finals. And
that would be nice.
Jacob McDonald gets a little tap on the shoulder and says he got 2 games as well. Sends him out there. Goonery ensues. Another 9-minute power play.
Oh, that was awesome. But if they send McDonald out there, now he's a repeat offender, and that's what I'm saying when I said the segment. Kidding around that it was light, it wasn't light, but this is what happens now. The Avalanche, because they seem to be come down harder on the Avalanche players. McDonald's a repeat offender, and he's got 8 games guaranteed if he does something.
That's what we got Sampo Ranta.
It's a big boy, Sampo. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't like where this is going. What would have been satisfactory for you? Let me ask you that question, because we're not even really talking about that. We're just upset about the 2 games. What would you have wanted?
See you when Kraken get here. Don't come back for the playoffs. That's
really
it. Intent to injure, if that's what the officials call on the ice, that's bad enough. Like, you don't need to be here. This is not intent to injure. That's the first time I've heard that out of any of these calls that we've addressed tonight. Intent to injure, if that's what the refs are talking about on the ice, there's no place for it at all. Reaves, you have no business playing the rest of these playoffs. If that's what you're going to do with your history, you're done.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that would be the most severe. Well, the most severe would be you're not playing for the rest of your career. They're not going down that road. But this would be,
at this point, a 3-game suspension could be the same thing, because if the Avalanche continue as they're doing, a 2 or 3 game suspension would also be a playoff suspension.
It would be. You're right. Yeah. I don't know. I think that would be the most severe. Is your season is done. Yeah. Your season is over. I never expected the NHL to do that, but again, based on what we saw firsthand with them do with Kadri, and knowing this is his game, this is what he does, and knowing the seriousness, like we're kind of like just kind of glossing over the fact that he's got his knee on Graves' head against ice. You know what I mean? Like, that's severe, man.
After hitting Suter's head into the goalpost just 2 nights ago.
Right.
Like, he's going for the head multiple times. This is not new.
He went for the head against him. He went for the head, and then he went twice for two different heads on Grubauer and then Graves in a matter of 5 seconds. And the Graves one, that wasn't going to cause him any serious injury, but he threw a little shot in there to the back of his head. What else do you need? It's all right in front of you. It's on video. And these Vegas fans that just want to be like, oh, we support Ryan Reaves. Get out of here. Like, you're not supporting hockey. You're a homer. Even their coach is towing the line of lunacy with his gloves didn't come off and nobody got hurt. What are you watching, bro? And your metric is his gloves didn't come off. So as long as gloves stay on, no harm, no foul.
I think Vegas fans had to have something to talk about, and the coach had to have something to talk about after game 1. I guess that's where you go, because literally everything else you did was terrible. Vegas's defense was terrible. They left Robin Leonard out there to dry. There was nothing positive you could say about your team. If you're going to get behind Ryan Reaves, That's not the dumbest thing you can do, but that's what you guys are choosing to do. And you don't have him. So you guys are going to actually have to play hockey for the rest of the series.
Yeah. Everything this adds up to for Vegas, just they look stupid. They totally look stupid in every aspect of this thing. And here's the other part of it is, and we've been hearing it all year long, the two things with the Avalanche. Do they have the goaltending? That's been checked. Yes. And do they have the physicality? And I think people have a false narrative on that the Avalanche can't play physical. They choose not to. They'd rather beat you with their skill and with their speed. But if they want to come after you, they will, and they will protect themselves and they'll protect their players. And I think that was evident in the first period of the playoffs when Landeskog unloaded on Braden Shen. Yeah. So they're not going to hold, you know what I mean? Like, there's this misconception that the Avalanche are like this soft team, and that is not the case. They don't have guys that are going to go out to do what Ryan Reaves wants to do, but that doesn't mean they can't.
I think that weird perception of the Avalanche not being physical, I've heard that ever since we got rid of Cody McLeod. Ever since we lost our guy that you tap on the shoulder, he goes out, and that's 5 minutes automatically. Ever since then, it was like, well, we lost Cody. We used him so many times for that physical role, and when we lost that, everybody's like, well, we're not a physical team anymore. We can't handle ourselves. And like last year with everybody getting injured, everybody wanted to chalk that up to us not being a physical team. And I've admitted that we're a Porsche, we're a high-speed muscle car, like, but we choose not to play physical. But you see it, like, we've had so many guys that get called up and immediately start fighting. Landeskog taking up for everybody, Kadri taking up for the Brendan Lemieux hit last year. There's physical, there's physical play all throughout this team. It's just not what we need to do.
Right. They go play hockey.
Yeah.
Imagine that, Vegas. Imagine that, because you have some skilled players. Go play hockey. And if you want to mix it up because something happens, then mix it up. But don't do that. If you want to take issue with what Ryan Graves, his hit, take issue with that. And you did, but you didn't let up. And that's where you become a laughingstock, is when you do crap like that. And, you know, that's where the Avalanche are different, because they're out there to play hockey and show you, how fast they are, the skill that they have. They're not out there to, as soon as they hit the ice, whose head can I take off? And you have guys on Vegas that do that exact thing, which is a sad thing. And it's sad because they are a good team, and you have these few guys that will ruin it for the entire team. And right now, nobody likes you except your own fans, which, their judgment is in question anyway. So.
All 3 years of that team. Wow.
Yeah, they whatever. All right. Well, that's going to be it. So we have one more day. I do believe I am in the process of working with the host of Locked On Golden Knights, and I think we are going to do a crossover for tomorrow's episode. So stay tuned for that bad boy, because that'll be fun and interesting to see.
You have some things to answer for.
No, he's I've been talking to him, and like, he completely thinks that he should have been suspended, but we haven't really talked much since the 2 games came down. So I don't know if he thinks that's legit or it needs to be more. So yeah, well, that'll be tomorrow probably. We're lining up our schedules, so stay tuned for that. So other than that, that's going to be it for today. Kyle, always appreciated when you come on. I needed someone to share in the anger. And you did, and you brought your Stone Cold belt. Was that the championship belt? I mean, you have your wall of belts, so I wasn't sure which one you took off of there. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the Attitude Era belt, the gold wing.
So it suits. It's what we needed right now. We need some Stone Cold beer chugging. So it's going to be
violent gentlemen.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you're watching on the 9 News stream or video on YouTube or their website, thank you for watching on there. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. Things seem to be unfolding with the Avalanche and the National Hockey League in general on a daily basis. And I am so sorry to the Toronto Maple Leafs fans.
Oh,
I root for people like I do. I want to see long streaks come to an end, or long streaks of futility come to an end. And I was rooting for them, but it will just make when eventually they do win it that much more sweeter.
if anyone sees Mitch Marner, let him know we're looking for him. He's been missing all playoffs.
So, all right, everybody, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.